Welcome back to the Authentic Human Podcast. I'm Michelle Vickers, and this is part 74 of the story of creation. So, if you've been following along, we have been exploring some of the most incredible aspects of existence, as in the universe and planets and matter. But we've also been exploring our own selves, right? So, how humanity came into being, but also what we're capable of, right? And the biggest reason for sharing all of this is why you're capable of it, right? That's what we've been learning is the why behind everything, right? Behind creation and this aspect of creation and this aspect and that aspect. We're learning all the whys. Why do we want to know why? Well, you have an insatiable curiosity for everything. You're born with it. If you find that you're not asking as many questions now as you used to, or maybe you never really had the opportunity to ask questions, that's not because your instincts weren't asking them. It's because you were, your questions were not, what's the word I'm looking for? There was no one feeding your curiosity, right? There was no one encouraging. That's the word I was looking for. There's no one encouraging your natural instinct to ask questions. Okay. So, as universal beings, we have full access to consciousness, which basically means if you ask a question, okay, through energy, right, which is frequency and vibration, that's the existence of yourself. We've talked about this already. You will work with all of existence to access the information you need. Those are answers. It's understanding that you have questions for a reason. I know we've talked about this, but they want to go deeper into this than ever before because right now we are on this brink, right? So we literally as a human race have the opportunity to go forwards or backwards. And what I mean by forwards is creating a new world. And what I mean by backwards is ceasing to exist. Okay. So ceasing to exist does not mean there's going to be some big natural disaster. That's not how the creator works. The creator literally can set his intention to end this version of human existence and start again tomorrow. It's that simple. So we don't have to experience suffering and pain just because something ends. Feel that. Just feel that for a moment. We have been trained to accept suffering and pain as our natural state of being. It's kind of fascinating, right? And what he is sharing, this is the creator, okay? He wants you to understand that his intention is not to watch over you, right? It's not to make sure you're doing a good job. It's to see what you're interested in, to share in your excitement at what you're exploring about your own potential, and then to create different aspects alongside you as your instincts and interests grow. Right? So just think for a moment when you're a child and you learn, how your hands work, okay? And you start to become aware that you can pick things up and that you can push things and you can hold things. And then all of a sudden, you go to the next level where you can realize that you can hold things and actually pull your body up, right? Okay? And then what happens is you then want to go further. So you start moving. This is natural. This is evolution in your own personal space. But when you understand it from the universal perspective, okay, is that humans are meant to continue on that journey of evolution throughout your life. Why? Because your whole mission is to come in here into a physical form, into physical existence from pure energy and vibration, okay, as a soul. Remember, your soul is not separate from you. Your soul didn't send you here. You are your soul. And your soul, as you, chose to be here because whatever it is you're going to learn in this life is feeding awareness of your soul potential, right? So your soul potential is feeding universal evolution. And in doing so, you come into a human life, a physical life, and you bring certain wisdom, knowledge, certain properties that you are capable of participating in that others are not. And not because it's a competition and you're better than them, but because that is the vibration of your soul and what you contribute to existence and evolution. And it's vital, vital for you to keep exploring your potential. Why? Because your potential feeds every other potential in existence. And I know that's hard to believe sometimes, right? We've got 8 billion people on the planet. And of those billions of people, that's less than 2% of all the souls in existence. And your soul has the capacity to feed everyone else's. What does that even mean? That means that when you naturally participate in what brings you joy, what interests you, because you're exploring it, okay, in the moment, not because someone told you, because you had to set up a research project and, get funding or if you're in school and you have to do it's not like a research project. That is not how this works, because a research project is designed specifically on the end result. That is not how humans exist. Humans exist to explore through the journey. What is the journey? The journey is your exploration of whatever it is you're interested in. You could be interested in rock, in sediment, right? And exploring the history of the physical world and the planet by studying layers of rock, land, right? But that's amazing. And the whole point of your world is to become so focused that you're almost obsessed, right? Other in this world that we live in, people call it obsessed, right? You see people, they're obsessed with, physical fitness, they're obsessed with health, they're obsessed with their partners, all of these things. But it's understanding that when you allow your obsession, if you will, okay, to come from a place of your curiosity, then you're fulfilling your destiny in this life. You're fulfilling your reason for existence. It's when your obsession is based on fear that there's a problem. What does that look like? What does that mean? That means your obsession is based on protecting yourself. It is based on proving others wrong or justifying your own behavior. And sometimes it's even proving yourself right. Okay? Because explorers have zero interest in proving or proof. Zero. Why? Because when you're exploring, you know what's happening. You're fully immersed in that exploration. You're in it with your heart, your body, your mind, and your soul. And when you allow yourself to embrace whatever it is that is of interest to you, you become part of evolution. Okay. So feeling that, like, as I say, always important to, if you're an energy feeler, I highly encourage you to feel the energy of the words that I am sharing. But it's understanding that when you embody, okay, your ability to explore your potential, your vibration moves very, very differently than if you're thinking things and if you're using your mind. Okay. We've been trained specifically and taught that your mind is the most powerful tool you have. Why? Because they don't want you to remember that your ability to feel energy exists within you, let alone because if you unleash that, nothing can stop you. No one can control you, not because you're not interested in control, because you understand how existence works. And that's the point, right? That's why you have full access to consciousness, full access to the awareness of every aspect of creation and existence, because inside of you is the ability to create based on your intention. And that's what exploration is. When you are obsessed, you're so immersed that nothing else can touch you. Nothing can penetrate, which means no one else's snide remarks, no one else's, even their support. Okay. It can't penetrate your focus, your ability to follow through. And this is the whole point, right? When you're focused on something from that level, heart, mind, body, soul, okay? Your follow through is inevitable because it's your natural instinct, right? So if you go back and think about that child again who's learning how to walk, they're going to pull themselves up on whatever is close at hand, whether it's a human, whether it's a pet, whether it's a piece of furniture, whether it's stairs. They don't care. They're going to pull themselves up and they're going to fall. And when they fall, they don't get, feel into this, okay? They don't get angry that they fell. Sometimes they get frustrated if they've tried it so many times, but for the most part, they don't even get really frustrated. Because they're so consumed with focusing on the goal, right? And the goal is becoming that experience. It's not, how am I going to do this? That's not what they're thinking as they're doing it. And this is the whole point, is when you're trained to think your way through things, you're still sitting there thinking, how am I going to do this? And that's why you don't follow through. Because existence isn't about how am I going to do this? Existence is, I am this, and I'm going to keep exploring every single possibility that I can think of, try to get to be that thing. And their thing is, I want to see what it feels like to stand on my legs because I keep seeing all these other people do it. Must be pretty cool. That's it. They don't have more than that. Sometimes it's, I want to move faster, so I'm going to stand up so I can do that, right? But it's understanding that the follow through is natural because they're not focused on how to do it, right? And that's the point. If you're continuing to focus on how am I going to do this? How is this going to happen? How is this money going to come in? How is this support going to come in? How am I going to figure this part out? You're not following your instincts because all of that information, all of that awareness is literally available to you directly from consciousness as soon as you ask the question. But you've decided you have to figure it out. So you're not letting yourself even ask the questions, and you're certainly not allowing yourself to receive the answers. The universe is your home. It's your home. It's the place where you are fed with every bit of nurturing, every bit of information, every bit of encouragement that you could possibly ask for. There is nothing you ever want for. Okay? But you also have an insatiable curiosity. And that is what the universe is feeding. It's feeding your curiosity. The universe does not feel, oh, I need to take a break because this is too hard. Because here's the thing, we're not created to think anything is too hard. And yet, we've been taught to think that way, right? There's nothing that's too hard. If you're interested in it, you're going to go out and do it. Think about someone who has done something. Maybe you know them, maybe you don't know them. It doesn't matter. But someone who's done something so absolutely incredible that whenever you think about it, it's like your jaw wants to drop. They didn't have a map that told them how to do it. They had their instincts. They had something that they were interested in, and their whole intention was, what can I do? What can I do in this world, in this realm, in this aspect? Maybe it's a sport, and they have literally broken every barrier possible because they want to see what they can do. They understand that they're here to explore their potential. Feel into that for a minute. What is potential? It's certainly not you compared to everybody else. Potential means what you're capable of. And again, it's not about comparing you to anyone else. It's about recognizing that your body, your mind, your soul, right, your energy has a very unique combination. And that combination is specifically designed to fulfill your aspect of consciousness that you have been gifted, if you will. Okay. You've been charged with by the Creator to hold that space in existence. That's how unique you are. That's how important you are to existence. This is why when you be who you are, everyone thrives as a result. Because if there is something I want to know about courage and commitment, and maybe gravity, maybe you're someone who is riding, mountain bikes in the middle of the mountains and the peaks, and I want to understand gravity. And all of a sudden you pop in because you are defying our beliefs about gravity. But you wouldn't look at it that way. You're just like, man, that ride was awesome. It was amazing. I felt like I was flying because you were. We have to stop looking at everything from such a limiting viewpoint that says, well, this is how this works, and this is how this works. And we're going to see if we can, defy how it works. That's not what you're doing. You're exploring what you're capable of. And there is no one else on the planet who can do what you can do. And yet, if you don't do what you're capable of, we don't win. You don't have to go out and sell it. That's not what this is about. You don't even have to tell anybody else about it, because remember, there is nothing, zero aspects of existence that are classified, hidden, secret. Everything in existence is at your fingertips. If you want to know about something, you ask about it, and all the information, all the people who are doing incredible things, what has been done in the universe is going to show up. Why? Because that's how you research. We naturally are researchers, right? Because explorers are researchers. We want to collect information, not because we need to decide, okay, I need to know this, and I need to know this, and I need to know this, because that's what our brains have been trained to do. But when you say, okay, this is what I'm interested in. I'm interested in this one thing. And all of a sudden the universe is going to go, okay, you need to know this, and you need to know this, and you need to know this, and you need to know this. It's not going to show up in a book. It's going to show up in your day-to-day experiences, in the people that you meet, the conversations that you have, the strangers that cross your path, all kinds of different things. That's how it works. That's how consciousness works. It arrives when you ask a question. But if you're not asking questions that align with who you are and what you're meant to be doing, and if you don't believe the answers are going to come, you're not going to be open when they come. It's not that they're not coming. The only reason that you would seem blocked, right? That word blocked, isn't because someone else is blocking you or the universe is blocking you. It's because you just don't believe the answers are going to come. And sometimes it's because you don't think you're good enough. But I'll tell you, that's really not even what it is. What it really is you don't even know that that's how easy it can be. Because your brain has been twisted into this belief that you have to work so hard for the things you want that you need to suffer. Right? Isn't that what they said right at the beginning? You're conditioned to accept suffering. But what if suffering wasn't a thing? What if it didn't exist? What if you chose to live free of suffering? How would that look? It means you'd have to exchange your belief system. You'd have to believe in truth. You'd have to believe in your potential and possibility. And you'd have to believe that you have access to consciousness. And then you just have to start asking questions that were in alignment with what you wanted to explore. It's not about what you want to, where you want to go, right? It's exploring how you're going to get there. You don't need to figure it out. It's exploring it along the way. That's the joy. That's why we're here. You're meant to be obsessed. You're certainly not meant to judge yourself and reprimand yourself. And you're certainly not meant to do the things that you're obsessed with in your spare time when you have time at the end of the day after your to-do list. I think that was in one of the last two, 72 or 73, where they talked about to-do lists. It's understanding that right now, in this time, in this moment of what we're creating here together, this experience, right? Whether you're listening to this live, whether you're listening to the recording, the space has been created for you to step into your own potential. What does that mean? How does that look? It means just simply choosing to accept that you're ready to explore your potential. And what does that look like today? That's the first question. Okay, universe, what does that look like today? And then the universe is going to show you something in whatever way it chooses. And if you've chosen to allow yourself to receive that information and that awareness, you'll know. It's not about second guessing. So that moment where you're like, oh, was that it? Was that it? If you noticed it, it was it. It's that simple. And from there, your job is to stop going, was that it? Was that it? Because that's questioning it. You're not trusting, you're not believing in the message you got. You're now spending all of your time obsessing over, was that it? The universe doesn't make mistakes. You need to start trusting in your soul. Your soul works like the universe does. It's allowing yourself to receive that information, to receive that understanding so that you can ask the next question and keep participating. Sometimes they want you to do something. And sometimes your brain is going to be like, oh, I can't do that. Right? They asked me to write a book. I was like, man, I didn't even finish high school English. Like, I think the highest I went to was grade 11. I don't even know because it was not of interest to me. And so my brain went, well, how can I write a book? 5 years it took me to overcome that fear. 5 years. And I used a whole bunch of different justifications inside the fear. But the reality is, I wasn't meant to write a book in alignment with high school English or any English education for that matter. My job was to write a book about the existence of a soul. Nothing to do with English. Nothing. Zero. And yet I let that belief stop me for 5 years. See? Everything you need is inside of you. You just have to allow it to come out. And when I finally sat down and went, okay, let's do this. Show me what I'm supposed to write. I wrote believe in a week because I sat down and I allowed the wisdom to come through me. I didn't stop it. I didn't try to understand it or make sense of it at any step of the way. And every day, the end of writing, I just sat in awe of what I just learned because everything I wrote, I was learning about in that moment. I was taking it in, I was absorbing it, and I was becoming a different human as a result. Why? Because I had expanded my awareness of existence, my awareness of myself and what I was capable of. So I had become someone else just from that day by participating in my own exploration of who I am. And every day, that's what we're meant to do. That's evolution, becoming someone else based on what your instincts tell you to do, right? What your interests are. I wanted to know who I am. Why do I have these gifts? Turns out every human has them. I'm not special. And yet, part of my mission was to come in and remember them so well that I could help other people remember theirs. And in order to do that, I have an ability to feel inside of what other people are feeling in the moment. So I can feel where they're resisting or when they're following fear or when they're following whatever path. But I discovered that as a result of following my instincts, right? Participating and fulfilling and working with people because someone said to me, people are going to want to try and talk to their soul now that they know you can. So I put it out there. You have a conversation with your soul. I did not market or advertise. It was all word of mouth. And next thing you know, I've got people from Africa reaching out, from Russia, from Asia, all over the world, because they wanted to have a conversation with their soul. They didn't know it was possible. So those people were asking, how can I get information about who I am? And then somehow they came across someone who said to them, oh, you should talk to Michelle. Because I'll tell you, 99% of the people that come to me don't even know why they're coming. They're just like, someone said, oh, you should talk to Michelle. And the people who follow their instincts are the ones who access the information and the answers. Not because they did a whole bunch of research and went, okay, yeah, Michelle's the right one for me, but because they followed their instincts and went, there's something about this person and I need to talk to them. And then their life changed as a result. And they became more. And then they were changing lives because they now in their exploration, they kept going. They got the piece that they needed, just like I got the pieces that I needed. That's how this is supposed to work. You're meant to explore your potential. You're meant to explore what you're capable of. But it's not complicated. It's not hard. Sometimes it's challenging because you have to do things that take you out of your comfort zone. But the reality is that comfort zone has been created based on your fears and your beliefs that someone else told you how life and existence is. And when you break up with all those beliefs, it's not challenging at all. It's not hard. You recognize, right? It's just like like children who are learning how to walk. They're not feeling sorry for themselves if they don't get it. They're not wondering, oh my gosh, should I get it before the other person gets it? No, they're not doing any of that. They're just sitting there trying again and again until they're like, okay, I'm tired right now. I'm not going to do it. And then there's other ones who just stand up and do it without even thinking about it because that's part of who they are and what they're meant to be doing. Guys, we got to let go of our need to compare ourselves with each other and to compete with each other. Because when you're competing against other people, that truth, that information that you're craving, that from consciousness and your soul and the universe, it can't get in because you need it to come in a very specific way. And 99% of the time, it's how can I be better than other people? It's not how you were meant to be. You're not meant to compare yourself. The universe can't work with that. But if you allow yourself to ask a question of what am I supposed to be doing today? What am I capable of today? It's all about you. It's all about you and your impact on the universe itself. Now it's not a competition, it's pure potential. And that's exactly how you're meant to experience life and explore everything. It's also how you're going to change the world. It's how you're meant to, by being who you are, simply following your instincts. So let's do this. Let's get right back to those pure instincts that are yours. They're literally your navigation system for life. And chances are really good you've been ignoring that navigation system in lieu of something that you've been taught, that you've learned how to do it better, more successfully, more strategic. Listen, if you're trying to use a strategic approach, you've already canceled out your instincts. There is nothing strategic about instincts. They're raw, they're pure, and they're filled with the greatest potential in existence. You can't reach that with strategy. You have to surrender to the truth and to the fact that it's just who you are, and it's going to come through in the exact way that it needs to propel you forward. Whether that means you have to accept that you're so much more incredible than you think you are, whether it means you have some healing to do, because we all do, let's face it. Maybe it means you got to do something that's so far outside your comfort zone. Maybe you got to move around the world. Maybe you got to trust someone that you don't want to trust. Whatever it is, it's understanding and recognizing that that challenge is an opportunity that was given to you specifically from the universe based on the questions that you've been asking. Whether you accept that those are questions that you're asking of the universe or not, you know, those questions that you ask when you think no one's there and no one's listening. Why does this happen to me? The universe is answering. Are you listening? It's time to start. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please subscribe, share, like. We are on a mission here to change this world, to help people remember that you're more valuable than anything else in existence. The biggest commodity of the entire universe is universal truth and the humans who are here to participate in evolution. That's why we're doing this. So share, please. And I encourage you to ask your questions, to share what you're learning, share your experiences so that we can make this whatever it is that all of these social media platforms need it to be, to share it even more. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye for now.